You know, it's the oldest story there is. The systems we build for ourselves, the leaders we put our faith in, the very things we design to be permanent are actually incredibly fragile. And right now, we're watching the cracks show up right in front of our eyes.
So let's start there. This first part, it's not really about the day-to-day headlines. It's about something much older, that chaotic, timeless stance of human power that stretches all the way back from the first tribes to today's governments.
I mean, just look at the recent firing of Attorney General Pam Bondi. On the surface, yeah, it's a political headline. But if you zoom out, if you look at it across the long stretch of history, it's a classic court drama. The loyal courtier, someone who used their position to defend their leader, is suddenly thrown out. The names and titles change, but the roles, they're ancient.
And this shows you how the rot starts from the inside. Power rarely just collapses from some big outside force. It decays from within. The reasons being thrown around for Bondi's dismissal: not happy with how the Epstein files were handled, not being tough enough on enemies, whispers of some unforgivable offense. These aren't reasons. They're tremors. They're signs of shifting loyalties, of paranoia. And you see the same pattern forming around Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence. Reports are swirling that the president is asking advisors if he should replace her. It's a system that's constantly testing for loyalty, where the person who was a hero yesterday is a liability today.
And you know, this kind of internal decay, it never stays contained. It almost always spills outward, turning power struggles into global conflicts. Think about the tension with Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. At its heart, it's a really ancient fight. It's a war over territory. The resource itself has changed. It's not fresh water anymore, it's crude oil. But the instinct, it's exactly the same. Control the thing that gives your civilization life, and you control everyone else.
And this is where you see the huge disconnect. Our technology is straight out of science fiction. Drones, precision missiles, cameras that can see from space. But just listen to the way we talk. It's primal. It's about domination. It's not about diplomacy. We are literally wielding 21st century weapons, but with instincts that were carved into our DNA thousands of years ago, back when survival meant you had to wipe out the other tribe.
But what if the ultimate form of power isn't about controlling land or people right now? What if it's about something much bigger? What if it's the power to control the past itself? Well, that's the war for memory.
You see, the Presidential Records Act didn't just appear out of thin air. It was created from the fire and mess of the Watergate scandal, and it was designed to do one thing: to stop a leader, in that case Richard Nixon, from just destroying the proof of what they did. It sets up this really fundamental idea for a civilization. A leader's history isn't theirs to keep. It belongs to all of us. It's our collective memory.
And this timeline shows you that pattern, playing out over and over again. So in 1974, you have a president who tries to erase history. In 1978, civilization pushes back. It builds a wall to protect that history. And today, that very same wall is being challenged. Power always wants to operate in the shadows, to write its own story. And civilization is just this constant, exhausting effort to keep the lights on.
And here's where the paradox just gets wild. The current administration is making the case that this law is unconstitutional, that it's an overreach. And this argument is being made by a leader who was federally indicted on 37 counts for allegedly mishandling the exact kind of documents this law is meant to protect. Documents found stored in a bathroom. It's like trying to dismantle the lock while being the one accused of picking it. This isn't just some dry legal argument. It's about power's deep, fundamental fear of being remembered for what it actually was. And that leads us to this really unsettling question. If the official story, the official record, can be twisted or changed or just flat out erased by whoever's in charge, what happens to the whole idea of truth? I mean, what's the foundation of a civilization that can't even trust its own memory anymore? But as we get stuck in these ancient cycles of fighting and control, one part of humanity has always done something pretty incredible. It looks up. The Artemis II mission is humanity's first crewed trip back toward the moon since 1972. But it's so much more than just a technical exercise. It is the modern version of our oldest, deepest instinct: to explore. The exact same impulse that made our ancestors put a handprint on a cave wall, just to say, "I was here," is what's pushing us now to leave footprints on a whole other world. And the scale of what we're trying to do here is just staggering. We've all gotten used to the International Space Station, right? It's orbiting just about 250 miles above our heads.
This journey is 1,000 times farther than that. This is a return to actual deep space.
And the danger is it's immense. When that spacecraft comes back to Earth, its heat shield has to survive temperatures of 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's just a brutal reminder of how fragile we are, protected from complete oblivion by just a few inches of material. It's this tiny, thin line between a triumph for all of history and a total catastrophe.
Which, of course, brings us back to what's really at stake. With all our ambition, all our dreams of reaching for the stars and building new worlds, this is it. This is the only home we have. The difference between our limitless imagination and our very finite reality, well, it couldn't be clearer. So we look up at the stars for inspiration. But back down here on Earth, we're building new kinds of tools to look in a totally different direction, into the future. We're trying to map what's coming next. We have always wanted to predict the future. We used to read animal entrails or chart the movement of the planets. Today, our oracle is digital. Things like prediction markets. Polymarket is a perfect example. They're like a modern form of divination. It's a collective intelligence that's built to try and see the future, to replace our gut instinct with the cold, hard probability of an algorithm. And this isn't some science fiction idea for the future. It's happening right now. Energy traders will tell you the polymarket is the single best predictor of where the oil market is going. Its data is being used in Goldman Sachs research. It's being plugged directly into trading algorithms. The oracle is already speaking, and the markets are absolutely listening. But of course, this brings up a huge concern. What happens when people with insider information use these tools to manipulate everything? It turns a prediction engine into a machine for profit and control.
And that really leads us to the ultimate question of power for our century. As we get better and better at forecasting what's going to happen, the power to actually influence those events gets concentrated into the hands of a very small group of people who control the data. So if we can all see what's coming, who gets to decide what we do about it? So where does all of this leave us? Well, it seems like we're caught somewhere between our ancient programming and our incredibly fast-approaching future.
Our tools are, without a doubt, evolving at an unbelievable speed. We've gone from sharpening sticks to building nuclear weapons. We went from small tribal councils to incredibly complex global politics. We went from just staring at the moon to actually building the rockets to go there.
But underneath all of that shiny new hardware, the human software, it's pretty much the same. That drive for power, the tribal fights over resources, the fear of being forgotten, that deep need to control what happens next, these things are the constants in the human story.
And that really is the question we're left with, isn't it? With all of our amazing technology and all of our expanding knowledge, are we actually evolving into something new? Or are we just stuck here, retelling the same ancient story of survival and power and ambition, but this time with stakes that are as big as the entire planet?